Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material and really extract the essential knowledge you need to be well-informed.
Today, we are tearing up that old, kind of simplistic image of the nonprofit sector.
We really are. We're not focusing on the front lines today. Instead, we are pulling back the curtain on the engine room. The sophisticated, highly specialized infrastructure roles that are required just to keep the lights on, keep the mission funded, and, well, keep the organization legally sound.
Exactly. The sources we've analyzed for today give us this comprehensive, categorized breakdown of these infrastructure roles.
Right?
And these are positions that demand, truly executive-level business expertise. The goal is just different. It's mission delivery over profit.
So our mission today is really to show the deep specialization and the high stakes involved in these support and operations structures.
Yes. We want to show you that running a large nonprofit is, structurally just as complex as running a major corporation.
Absolutely. And if you're already working in the sector, you know this complexity. But for anyone looking in, or maybe planning a career transition, the sheer breadth of these roles can be staggering.
It really can.
We'll be detailing some very specific jobs today, from a planned giving director all the way to an HRIS analyst.
And, if you want to dive deeper into the specific skill sets and career paths for any of the fields we discuss,
Where should they go?
we'd recommend checking out Nonprofit.Courses.com. It's a great starting point.
A perfect starting point. So let's prove this point about specialization right now.
Okay.
Let's look at the financial lifeblood of any nonprofit, the revenue engine. I'm talking, of course, about fundraising and development.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the sheer complexity here is, I think, often really underestimated.
Oh, completely. People think fundraising is, one person writing a heartfelt letter.
Right. But the reality is that major organizations run these massive multi-channel campaigns.
Exactly. It's a collection of highly defined functions, and it's all led by the Chief Development Officer, or CDO.
So they're the executive leader.
They are. They set the overall strategy for securing, millions and millions of dollars. But look at what happens right under them. The roles immediately divide based on the type of donor and the mechanism of the gift.
Okay, so who's handling the biggest fish?
Well, that high-stakes relationship management usually falls to the director of philanthropy. These are the rainmakers, so to speak.
Rainmakers, I like that.
They're focused on major donor initiatives. We're talking wealthy individuals whose contributions can be truly transformational. Their job is all about relationship building, not just asking for money.
So if the director of philanthropy is managing the present, who's thinking about the future?
That's the planned giving director or officer. They are managing the organization's long-term future, and this is a highly, highly specialized niche. We're talking about really complex future gifts. Things like bequests written into wills, charitable remainder trusts, very intricate estate planning mechanisms.
Okay, wait a minute. If the director of philanthropy is already a high-level relationship manager, why does planned giving need its own director? That sounds like it could be a lot of overlap.
That's a fantastic question.
How does a CDO even manage the priorities between, an urgent major donor focus and this long-term estate planning focus?
It speaks directly to the expertise required. Planned giving requires this profound expertise in, complex financial law and taxation. It's not just basic relationship skills.
Oh, okay.
It often involves lawyers, financial planners, understanding probate. The skill set is just fundamentally different from soliciting a current cash gift. It's essentially a specialized financial management role, just focused on future revenue.
That distinction makes perfect sense.
Oh.
Okay, so beyond individual wealth, nonprofits obviously rely on institutional funds, so they must have dedicated teams for that too.
Precisely. You have the corporate relations director, who manages business partnerships, sponsorships, employee matching campaigns.
And then you have the foundation relations manager.
Right, who is solely dedicated to navigating the really stringent requirements and deadlines of grant-making foundations.
So two completely different beasts.
Totally. One is selling brand alignment. The other is navigating bureaucracy and mission fit.
And while all these strategists are out there building relationships, the sources are really clear about the operational backbones that fuel them. We're talking about the detective work.
Yes, the prospect researcher. This is, I would argue, the most essential role underpinning the entire development department.
Really?
They are investigators. They use public databases, SEC filings, proprietary tools, all to discover a potential donor's wealth, their affiliations, and most importantly, their giving history.
So without the prospect researcher, the CDO is just Guessing.
Completely flying blind. You can't ask for a $5 million gift if you don't know the donor is capable of it, or if they just gave $10 million to a competitor.
The research dictates the ask, the amount, and the timing.
Exactly. And once that first gift is secured, the whole relationship then relies on the donor relations manager, or sometimes called the stewardship officer.
Their job is just retention.
Purely retention. It costs so much less to keep an existing donor happy than to acquire a new one. This person is entirely focused on expressing gratitude, demonstrating impact, and building loyalty.
But all this loyalty must be underpinned by, like, perfect financial hygiene, right?
Which brings us to the crucial administrative roles. You've got the guild processing manager or coordinator.
Okay.
They have to manage the proper entry and precise acknowledgement of every single donation.
This is for IRS compliance, tax receipts.
Yes, and it ensures the donor relations team has the correct info to follow up. A mistake here isn't just annoying, it's a compliance risk and a relationship killer.
And all of that data, the donor history, gift amounts, segmentation, that requires an elite level of tech management.
And that's where you find the database manager or development operations manager. They manage the massive donor CRM systems.
Like Razor's Edge or Salesforce?
The big ones, yes. Their role is strategic. They ensure data integrity, create segmentation for targeted appeals, and produce the critical reports that tell the CDO if they are hitting their targets.
So they are the guardians of the organization's most valuable non-physical asset.
It's donor relationships,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, that detailed look at development really shows it's a complex machine with dozens of specialized roles. Now let's pivot. Once the money is in, who manages the people required to spend it legally and effectively? And how does the organization manage its public image? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's start with the people side. Human resources and volunteer management. Strategy always begins at the executive level.
Chief People Officer, or CHRO.
Right. They set the vision for the entire workforce. We're talking pay equity, talent acquisition, organizational development.
And the complexity of HR. It really mirrors the private sector. You need specialized roles like the benefits administrator managing insurance and retirement plans,
Uh-huh.
and the compensation analyst or manager who focuses specifically on salary benchmarks and ensuring pay equity, which, given the public nature of nonprofit financials, I imagine pay fairness is a super sensitive and scrutinized topic.
It's hugely scrutinized. And that scrutiny drives the need for more modern strategic roles, particularly the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director, the DVI Director.
Leading those cultural and systemic change initiative.
Exactly. And plus, all of this complexity is managed with technology, which creates the need for the HRIS analyst.
The Human Resources Information System Specialist.
Yeah, the specialist who manages the systems and ensures all that staff data is accurate and secure.
And there's a unique challenge for nonprofits, right? The duality of their workforce.
You mean paid versus unpaid?
Yeah. The sources clearly distinguish between the two strategies. You have this strategic volunteer director or manager who designs the whole program.
Right, the pathways for volunteers.
And then you have the boots-on-the-ground volunteer coordinator who handles the day-to-day scheduling, training, and supervision.
A critical distinction. And moving from internal management to external influence, nonprofits have to be hyper-aware of public perception and legislation.
Which requires a sophisticated government relations team.
And this is more than just networking. It's specialized research and influence. You've got the lobbyist who works directly to persuade legislators on behalf of the mission.
But their whole strategy relies on the policy analyst.
It does. The analyst has to rapidly research complex, propose legislation, and predict its impact on the organization's ability to, operate or receive funding.
And then complementing that legal influence is the public outreach side.
That's the advocacy director. They lead the broader campaigns, think petitions, social movements, public awareness drives, all designed to influence public opinion or shift policy priorities.
Which brings us to marketing and brand management. Nonprofits have to convey their impact so clearly and consistently to maintain donor trust.
And that's all driven by the chief marketing officer, the CMO, but it's executed by a team of digital specialists.
Like the digital marketing manager.
Yes, handling SEO, online advertising, analytics. Then there's the content marketing manager, creating compelling, mission-aligned blogs, videos, and reports.
And of course, the social media manager, driving that daily community engagement and managing the organization's voice online.
Right. But while digital is critical, they can't forget traditional media. The public relations manager handles all media inquiries, press releases, often during a crisis.
And making it all look good. The graphic designer, they're listed as a vital infrastructure role, ensuring brand consistency across all those channels.
Okay, let's transition now to the roles that provide the absolute foundation, the silent organizational
I
backbones.
like that.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these are the roles that provide the financial, regulatory, and technical stability. Without them, the entire structure it fails. It can't withstand public or legal scrutiny.
And we have to start with finance and accounting, which is all about compliance and precise tracking.
The hierarchy starts with the chief financial officer, the CFO, who sets the long-term financial strategy. And then under them, the controller or comptroller, who oversees the accuracy of the entire day-to-day accounting operation.
The specialization here, though, is mandated by law, isn't it? This is where we have to talk about restricted fund.
We absolutely do. For-profit companies deal with profits. Nonprofits deal with restricted funds. This is money that a donor or a foundation gave for one specific purpose.
And it absolutely cannot be spent on anything else.
Exactly. Violating those restrictions can result in massive fines or even the loss of nonprofit status.
That makes the grant accountant a hugely specialized and critical position.
It is. They don't just track expenditures, they track restricted grant funds, making sure every dollar spent aligns perfectly with the grant agreement. It's an auditing nightmare if that role isn't done perfectly.
And of course, the basics have to be perfect. The payroll specialist.
Making sure everyone is paid accurately and on time.
And the independent auditor.
Who performs that crucial internal check for accuracy, legal compliance, and fraud prevention. The auditor's clean sign-off is what maintains public and regulatory trust.
So moving from financial data to, well, all data. Technology and data management. We already saw how vital data is for fundraising. But now we see that IT isn't just about fixing printers. It's infrastructure strategy.
It is. The IT director manages security, network infrastructure, hardware strategy. But because nonprofits rely on these huge donor data, member data, program data, the database administrator or manager is a critical asset.
They protect the core systems from breaches.
And they maintain the structural health of those systems, but the data also has to be useful. That's where the data analyst comes in.
To translate all that raw data into performance metrics.
Right, informing the CMO about campaign effectiveness or helping the CDO predict giving trends. And that whole strategy often hinges on the organization's public face, which is managed by the webmaster or web developer.
And we can't overlook the roles dedicated to just legally protecting the organization. This seems like the highest risk area after financial compliance.
It is. This is the realm of legal, risk, and compliance. Large organizations need a general counsel or chief legal officer in-house.
For major contracts, potential litigation.
And just managing the overall liability landscape. And the support structure there is key. The compliance officer ensures strict adherence to all internal policies and external laws.
From employment law to lobbying regulations.
Everything. And crucially, the risk manager is constantly identifying and mitigating liability risks, managing insurance, and ensuring safety protocols are up to standard. The stakes here are reputation and survival.
Finally, we get to the really hands-on logistical roles under general administration and facilities, the people who manage the physical delivery of the mission.
These are the roles that make sure the mission can physically happen. The logistics coordinator manages shipping and supply chains. The purchasing agent handles vendor relationships and procurement.
And the facilities director or manager, overseeing the physical plant, the building operations, maintenance, safety.
Making sure the space is safe and operational for staff and clients. Even the fleet manager is vital for organizations that run, large service vehicle operations.
So, after all that, what does this all mean? The takeaway from this deep dive is, for me, absolutely clear. The infrastructure of a nonprofit demands extreme sophistication and a diversity of specialized talent.
It really does. The organizational charts are vast. They mirror corporate structures, requiring executive leaders in every domain. The COO for internal efficiency, general counsel for legal defense, the CDO for revenue, CMO for visibility, and the CFO for financial stability.
This huge diversity of specialized roles is why a career in this sector can be so varied, so challenging, and I think so rewarding.
I agree.
But the puzzle is massive. You've got dozens of specialized roles, all operating under different pressures and compliance mandates. So we have to consider the synthesis of it all. Who is ultimately responsible for taking all these separate support functions, the finance, IT, legal, fundraising, and integrating them into one cohesive, single strategy that truly drives the mission?
That's the ultimate job of executive leadership. Often it's the chief association executive or maybe a planning manager. These are the people who see the whole machine, who anticipate where the gears might clash and ensure all those specialized departments are aligned and, well, not just surviving, but thriving in a unified direction.
It's a remarkable level of complexity. And if you are intrigued by any of these high-stakes specialized roles and want to learn more about the career paths and skills needed to step into this sophisticated sector, remember to visit nonprofitcareercourses.com.
A great resource to explore these paths further.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.